Football season is here. Fall camp is off and rolling, and the ACC defending champion, Duke Blue Devils, ready to get after it in 2026.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So great to have you here with us today on Thursday, August 13th, 2026. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. On today's show, super excited to have Josh Cox from Section 17 Media on the program with me today as we're discussing a lot of Duke football, getting into their schedule and so much more, what it means for the Blue Devils trying to defend this ACC championship. But we begin our conversation by taking a look at fall camp opening up as Josh Cox joins us on the program. Off and rolling, season is here, the pads are on, football season's there. And Josh, it's so great to have you back on the show.
JJ, it's great to be back talking some football. Wore my 2025 ACC champions Duke, by the way, there's that Duke D on the side. Wore that hat today because I knew we're going to be talking about football. And listen, not that I don't love talking about basketball. I absolutely love it. Love coming on here talking about everything going on inside of that Duke basketball program. But there is something special about Duke football, the few, the proud, the Duke football, elites. So, yeah, we're all about the football.
Yeah, and I got to give you some love, Josh, because you recently did a recap episode on your show, the Section 17 podcast, talking about the start of fall camp and talking about your experience being out there, watching the team get to work. You mentioned the sights, the sounds. You even said what we were smelling. And I was like, you know what? Good point by Josh, because there is just that particular smell to fall football getting off and rolling. And it's here, man. Things are smelling great. And I appreciated you giving love to that particular sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, if you've never been to a football practice or on the sidelines of a football game, it's like freshly cut grass, body odor and sweat. You know what I mean? There's just a lot there. You know what I mean? Spit, Gatorade. There's a lot of different things kind of going on in the background. And so, yeah, that's what I was experiencing there at fall camp.
Okay, so fall camp for any team, you start with the most important position at quarterback. And for Duke a season ago, it was Darian Mensah and the great run he went on, leading this team to a championship in the conference and a Sun Bowl victory. And then he's departed. Enough that we'll say about him. Duke brings in Walker Eget as their transfer quarterback from San Jose State. They've also got redshirt freshman Dan Mahan. They've also got Terry Walker. They've got Arupatu from the portal as well. Lots of different options. And every eyeball, when it comes to fall camp, wants to go to that quarterback spot right away for Duke.
I mean, it's absolutely the most important, position on the team. There's no question about that. Duke was obviously put in a very difficult situation. 8 hours before the portal ends, they lose QB1, the number one returning quarterback in the conference, going to be on some Heisman Trophy watch list. Everybody knows that. And so Duke's kind of put in a difficult situation. You have Dan Mahan, who was a freshman last season, the number 9 overall dual threat quarterback coming in out of high school. And so no slouch by any means. And then, the transfer Walker with a K, Walker Eget. For those who do not listen to our pod, I called him Walter for the entire podcast on Monday. But anyway, Walker Eget coming in from San Jose State. I think he's 23 years old. Got a lot of snaps under his belt, battled some injuries last year. From what we've been told, played through some injury last year that really skewed his numbers. Once again, wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? You play on a bum knee, your numbers aren't going to be great. And so Duke obviously comes into the camp with really Dan Mahan, Walker Eget, really the two guys that you're looking at. Terry Walker, just a report on that, he did also suffer a knee injury in high school the senior year this past fall. He is no knee brace, fully participating in practice as the third string guy. Arupatu, a little bit about him. Not only did you see him working with quarterbacks, you saw him hybrid a little bit. You saw him in special teams. He was kind of on both sides of the ball in special teams. He's physically he looks very respectable physically. I think there actually may be a little bit of special teams role carved out for him in addition to being down the line in the quarterback room. So anyway, the big thing I would say, JJ, if I can give you like the paragraph overview of the quarterback situation from the perspective of those of us at practice. Dan Mahan looked very sharp. He was very quick. He looked like he's just a little quicker, faster, stronger type thing than he was last season in practices and things like that. Eget was a little slow, but they have him in like a lineman's brace on his knee. And so like I believe that is precautionary. They don't want him moving his knee. They want him to be like completely like safe on that thing during summer camp. And so he also did not do the lateral movement drills that the other quarterbacks were doing. Once again, I'm going to take that as they are doing that precautionary just because they don't want to put unnecessary stress on that knee. And so all that to say, it's going to be very interesting to see what Coach Brewer and Coach Diaz decide in that quarterback room.
Yeah, I think both guys are going to play this season. I think is what it's going to come down to because I think that this is going to be a competitive Duke football team, but obviously they're not going to have the potential of championship within the ACC that they would have had there not been a quarterback change take place at the last minute. And now you're turning to quarterbacks who, one, as you said, has been injury riddled throughout his career while having productive numbers. Injuries remain a big concern. And then Dan Mahan, who just doesn't have the college experience. Right now, the most notable thing, honestly, about Dan Mahan is that he changed from jersey number 12 to jersey number 10, if you're just looking for kind of differences in his college career so far. Having said all that, that just creates this unknown canvas of a player, which is why it's adding so much intrigue and excitement to Dan Mahan, because when you watch him in the spring and you watch him so far through fall camp, boy, this kid looks like he could be something at that QB spot.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to try to redeem that number 10 that was disgraced last year. But no, I will say this. I think a fair way to look at this quarterback battle is, number one, it is a battle. This is not a fake battle like they had with Malik Murphy and Grayson Loftus, right? That was a fake battle because everyone that watched spring and summer camp said Grayson Loftus outperformed Malik Murphy, and Malik Murphy was going to start. It didn't matter. It's not that way, right? I do not believe it's that way. So it's a real battle, number one. Number two, I think if all things balance out and are similar / equal between the two guys, you have to think they're going to favor the guy with hundreds of career snaps in college football. He's older. Like there's just some wisdom that may come from that. Now, that does not mean that if Eget is named the starting quarterback for the first game of the season, that is set in stone for the remainder of the season. That's obviously not the case. I do think if they come out of camp even, that Eget's probably getting the nod. But as you mentioned, this team, the way this team is going to be structured this year, you're going to see both of these quarterbacks. You're going to. And so, Duke fans can see what they get in the elder statesman there in Eget, and they're going to see what they get with the young buck, the local guy that I know a lot of local fans really want to see in Dan Mahan.
If there's something to take away from the schedule for Duke football, the easier start to the schedule makes things a bit more difficult down the stretch. So we'll dive into a little bit of that and also want to get into some other fall camp takeaways thus far. We'll do that more when Locked On Blue Devils continues. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. That's right, baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel's giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. Easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers, another fun way to stay engaged with every day's game. Whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league, every game has someone capable of going deep. Now, you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. Daily Dingers this time of year, looking at my beloved Atlanta Braves, Matt Olson, tied for the Major League lead with 35 homers on the season as of this recording. He's incredible. He'd be my pick for a Daily Dinger. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB and a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Show continues with Josh Cox from Section 17 Media. All right, fall camp standouts. Before we get into kind of the schedule breakdown, outside of that quarterback position, an offensive and defensive guy, if you could give me kind of one of each, who's coming to mind from what you've seen, what you've heard, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, I think it's Jared Richardson, transferred in from Penn. Going to be, the plan is, he's going to be wide receiver 1. And so there's some great tape on him out there. I would definitely look for him. There's some other guys in that room as well, Nicholas and Burton and a couple of the other guys. But just so you're aware, that's the guy to really look at is Jared Richardson. On the defensive side of the ball, well, are you looking for transfer or are you looking for a returning player?
Anybody that you think is doing well.
I think I got to give it to Andrew Pellicciotta. They're from what I've gathered at the practice I was at, he had an interception. And then as I've spoken to guys inside the program over this past week, he continues to impress. And so I think, Coach Diaz has said that basically no one on the defensive side of the ball has a starting spot yet. I would say Pelly's penciled in, right? Like he's going to have that safety spot on lock. And we saw glimpses of it in his freshman season. The one that comes to mind really is the Cal interception. But I think he's the guy to look at on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to go. Another option on defense, everybody's been talking about Kevin O'Connor and just what he's going to be able to bring to that defensive front, getting after the quarterback, helping in the run game, doing all of those things, because there are those questions in the secondary. The biggest question of the defense, looking at the back end, and Manny Diaz has said as much in recent weeks, which means to make the secondary's job a little bit easier, if you can take advantage of having big guys up front that make your life easier, that's one big thing. Because looking at last year's Duke team compared to now, Josh, you're having to think about, okay, what does it look like after Wesley Williams and VJ Anthony and Aaron Hall and all those big pluggers that Duke had on that defensive front? New guys need to emerge there.
Oh, yeah, certainly. And obviously Tyshawn Reed is another guy that there's a lot of talking about. And then Bryce Davis. Like, don't forget Bryce Davis. That's what one guy texted me from inside the program. He was like, everybody's talking about Reed and O'Connor for good reason. He's like, but Bryce Davis is nasty right now. Like, he is just on it. So, like, there's always, especially defensive end, there's always rotations. Those guys are going to be splitting snaps like crazy. And then, you're right. Getting to the quarterback and making a quarterback speed up and not go through his normal timing progressions, that helps your secondary more than anything.
So with this Duke team, I want to take a look at the schedule that's been presented in front of them for 2026 and really kind of dive into that easier start that we're referring to in a difficult stretch down the end. I mean, anybody could tell you this by looking at what Duke's got in front of them. In fact, go ask an AI engine kind of what they would evaluate this Duke schedule to be, and it would be the easier start to the season with games against Tulane, Illinois, and Stanford, kind of those first 3 on the schedule before William and Mary to round out the first 4 for Duke. Week by week, this is a good opportunity for Duke to be building strong momentum going into the season.
Yeah, and just like there's a lot of question marks about this Duke team, there's question marks about every, that Illinois game. I got a ton of question marks about Illinois' roster, right? I'm not an expert on Illinois football by any stretch of the imagination. So we don't even know what that roster is going to look like. Tulane, that's a get-back game for Duke, right? Like as good of a season as Darian Mensah had, and that's the last time you're going to hear me compliment him, but as good of a season as he had last year, the worst game that he's ever played in a Duke uniform was the game against Tulane. He was going home. It should have been a statement game. It should have been a game where he really wanted to throw up numbers and show those guys, and he didn't. So I think this is a game for Duke. It's Darian's removed from the equation, but it's a game for Duke to say, like, hey, we're here to play football. We're back. We've retooled. We've regrouped. We're going to run the ball 957 times a game, and you're just going to have to stop the run. And if you can't stop the run, we're going to beat you. And like I'm looking forward to. I think Duke can come out of those first 4 games at 3-1, potentially 4-0, and judging by all of the chaos in the offseason, if Duke comes out of the first 4 games 3-1, that's got to be a major victory for this program.
Well, there are 2 ways to look at this with the quarterback position in particular, just building continuity and optimism for the rest of the year. One way to look at this, Josh, would be that, okay, if it's a 3-1 or 4-0 start and you're looking at somebody like Walker Eget, or even if it is Dan Mahan, man, things are good. Like, we're feeling good going into the season. We've seen them play. We've seen them perform. They're going to be okay going into the rest of the year. The other way to look at this, though, is what has this told us so far? Duke was supposed to win these football games. Maybe it was a big diet of Nate Shepherd running the football and out of the backfield. And then when you get into heavy ACC games that they're going to have to play, what does it really look like from there?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, and I hate to say this, but this is kind of reminiscent of some of those latter Cutcliffe years where you're kind of like, they play an easy schedule. And I knew it was different because of the numbers of games and different things like that. But yeah, Duke will go undefeated in the non-con, but then ACC play hits and it's just like, wah, wah, like everything just comes to a screeching halt. I think there's definitely a danger for that, even though, and I'm not even being a hater, even though I am a hater, October the 17th, the home game against UNC, there's not going to be much more talent on that field than there is in some of those earlier 4 games that you talked about. So, and I don't want to disrespect Illinois. I've got a lot of respect for Illinois. Illinois could be ranked. Illinois could be really good. Like I said, I don't really know how that roster, what the turnover looked like last year. So I don't want to group Illinois really in with those other 3 teams, but at least 3 of those first 4 teams, I mean, UNC and Stanford might end up fighting for 15th in the ACC this year. So
yeah,
who knows?
Illinois has got a quarterback change themselves as Luke Altmaier's college eligibility expired. He's now playing for the Detroit Lions in the NFL. So that's going to be kind of a shift there. Again, this is going to be 9 ACC games on the schedule with 17 teams in the conference. It's silly now. Some play 9, some play 8 because math is math and it can't be even across the board. With that said, mentioning where your team's at 4 weeks in, what's also worth noting here, Josh, is that the bye week for Duke is after that 4th game of the season. Prior to going to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Duke's got a bye on Saturday, October 3rd. And I don't know about you, Josh, this is one of those instances where I wish it would be a little bit later in the season, simply because if you're supposed to take care of business in the first part of the year, if things get a little rocky in that middle stretch with some of these conference games, I'd feel a whole lot better by having some time off before you get into the massive stretch at the end of the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, JJ, you have this bye week at the end of October and not the end of September. Yeah, heading into that November stretch, NC State, Miami, Clemson, Wake Forest, it'd be nice to have a week of like, let's get those guys that are a little banged up, let's get them back and, whatever. Like, because inevitably at that time of year, you've got guys banged up, you got guys not playing at 100%. And so it'd be nice to have that bye week, but it is what it is. That's how the schedule fell. And, I think Manny is just going to have to figure out how to use that bye week in the best way possible to get this team ready for Georgia Tech. And you want to go steal one down there in Atlanta. Brent Key's got a great thing going down there. And you want to go, definitely would like to go steal that one.
Yeah, Brent Key's really impressive. The way he motivates, he's funny. He really had a fun time at the podium at ACC kickoff, getting people to talk about his program and what they've been able to do. So then Georgia Tech is the second conference game for Duke. You get after opening with Stanford at home in September. That's a road game. So first road ACC game for the Blue Devils. And then 7 days later, game 6 of the year for Duke on Saturday, October 17th. The Tar Heels will be coming to Wallace Wade to take on Duke. Bill Belichick, his second time coaching against the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean, bring it on. Bring Billy to Wallace Wade. Billy ain't never experienced Wallace Wade before, JJ. I can tell you that right now. He's been in a lot of places. He's never been in Wallace Wade. And so, that's going to be fun. And, listen, I wish everything bad on that program, anything that could happen negatively to that program, really fine with me. But obviously they've been in a crazy offseason. The Lombardi stuff, which we still don't even really know what's going on with that. And then, the really, really bad news about Steve Belichick. And we don't know the details of whatever that physical situation is there, but obviously getting some treatment for something. And so things could not get any worse over there in Chapel Hill, just to be honest with you. Their roster did not improve, in my opinion. in the offseason much. And I don't know how this experiment is working down there.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely second guessing it, even though they went and did the same thing in basketball, and hired basically the same type of coach for basketball as they did for football. They're banking on this working, and for football right now, it's not working.
Had a really fun crossover episode that we did earlier this week on the Locked On Network, where myself and Isaac Shade from Locked On Tar Heels talked about exactly that it's their second time trying that pro to college rank decision. And we'll see how this one plays out. Go and check out that episode if you haven't done so already. All right, we've got more of the Duke football schedule to look at. We'll step aside for one quick moment, and then when we come back, we'll look at the second half of the year for Duke football here on Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at The Game. Since 1986, The Game has been creating classic college hats that fans are proud to wear. Whether you're an alumnus, current student, season ticket holder, or simply someone who never misses a game, a great college hat is more than just apparel. It's a way to represent your school wherever you go. This year, The Game is celebrating its 40th anniversary by giving fans a chance to save on some of their most iconic college hats. If you've been thinking about replacing an old favorite or adding a new one to your collection, now is the perfect time. The Duke hats that they've sent me are awesome. A black, blue, and white one that's got retro looks. It's a clean, sleek look to all of them. Go check that out, Duke fans. I think you really like it. With hundreds of officially licensed college hats to choose from, you'll find the perfect fit for game day and every day. Don't miss the chance to celebrate 40 years of The Game with 40% off your entire order. Visit thegamecaps.com and use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's thegamecaps.com. Promo code Locked On. Celebrate 40 years of The Game with 40% off. But don't wait. This anniversary offer won't last forever. The Game is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, final segment of the show today. I've got Josh Cox from Section 17 Media with me here, and we're still taking a look at this Duke football schedule. We talked about the first 6 games. Here's the second 6-game stretch for Duke, beginning on Saturday, October 24th, a trip to Charlottesville to play Virginia, a rematch of the ACC championship game with head coach Tony Elliott. It's Boston College at home on October 31st. Saturday, November 7th, my birthday, will be a road game against NC State. And then it's Miami, Clemson, Wake Forest to round it out. Let's get going here, Josh, with Virginia, Boston College, kind of the first 2 games to kick off the second part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as much as I hate doing this, it seems as if Tony Elliott has turned the corner up there and they've got a good thing going. And once again, I am not a big fan, but that's the last time Duke went up to Virginia. It was the Mike Elko final season. That was a season filled with a lot of promise, and they stubbed their toe there at UVA. We were there in person for that game, and it was not fun. This is the return trip there. Would love to see Duke take care of business. BC, you've got to win that game. Like, you just have to. It's Halloween, so I'm assuming Duke's going to be in the all black Hellraisers that night. We'll see. So that'd be awesome. Then listen, love this NC State rivalry. Like, love the fact that Duke and NC State are playing every season. I have respect for that program. I make fun of it as well. Listen, I respect Carter Finley. I respect the environment. I respect the fact that they put butts in the seats, no matter how often they wind up between 7-5 and 9-3 and win and lose their bowl game, whatever. Like, I know, I get it. So looking forward to that. And then I'm not, JJ, in any way, shape, or form looking forward to going to Coral Gables on November the 14th. That game does not interest me in one bit. I do not have good vibes about that game. I think it could be a very difficult weekend.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
That's going to be Darian Mensah, obviously, is going to be the biggest storyline there. The Duke quarterback turned Miami quarterback, what it means. Best wishes to him. Certainly don't want to wish injuries on anybody. Thinking, hopefully he's able to play in a game like this for him and Cooper
throw
Barkin.
15
right.
interceptions.
Because what you said earlier on this very show, Josh, The game in which he struggled a year ago was building up the game against Tulane, where he came from. So maybe similar vibes are going to be there. It won't be on the road. It's going to be a home game for Miami. But yeah, that one. And then 7 days later, following it up with Clemson.
Correction. This has been changed. It's actually 6 days later. So that Clemson game is now November the 20th. It is a Friday night game.
You.
Yep, it's a Friday night. That's why I was looking down on my phone a second ago when you were talking, because I was like, I think that game got moved. So it is. It's November the 20th on a Friday night.
And so that game against Clemson is always going to be tough when they come to town in Dabo, and we think it'll be a better season for Clemson than what they've had the past few years. And Wake Forest won 9 games last year. Like Jake Dicker turned out to be quite the coach, and now he's got Gio Lopez transferring in at quarterback. So who knows what Wake's going to be? That's why when you kind of look at the second half of the year for Duke, you really want to be in a good spot figuring out this team by the time you get into these final few games.
Yeah, and I know this Duke. Some Duke fans won't care about this at all, but they also got Chase Tyler from Duke, the wide receiver transfer.
Good call.
And I think that this was like going to be a Chase Tyler potential breakout season, and so don't like that. Did not like losing Chase Tyler, especially to Wake Forest. But I do like the away game being Thanksgiving week. I do like the fact that senior night is going to be on that Friday night, Clemson. So Duke will be able to honor their seniors on that night with a full house instead of honoring them on Thanksgiving weekend with, let's just say, less than a full house there. So
exactly. What I will say too, full schedule thoughts as we start to wrap up the program here. What's nice is that there's a little bit of variety, right? Like you don't get too comfortable in a home away, home away, home away. Having said that, there also aren't big 3-game road stretches or so many games at home in a row that make you feel like, okay, this is going to be backloaded and that sort of thing. Like not the alternating home away that in some respects can be a little boring. There's a good blend here with how the schedule shaped up.
If I'm not mistaken, JJ, last season, I think there was a four-week stretch where Duke was not home.
That's right.
I think it had to do with going to Syracuse, Cal, bye week, somewhere else. I think it was a solid 4 weeks before Duke was back home. And so you definitely don't have that here. And I think it's great. And then you do have your back-to-back road games, but one of them's in Raleigh.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. And then the second one's a flight to Miami. It is what it is. But yeah, it's Raleigh, Miami. It's not like you're at Boston College and then you're at Miami. You know what I mean? So like it's an easy road game with State. Not easy. Don't take that the wrong way. Not easy and like it's going to be a definite win. I'm saying it's easy because it's in Raleigh. It's a bus ride. So
do you feel the hype building as we get closer to kickoff here for the team? I'm starting to get a little animated here now that we're deeper in fall camp and football's right around the corner for Duke.
It's the beauty of preseason football, JJ. Every single team talks themselves into 8 wins. Every single team. Like I see how we can get to 8 here. If everything falls exactly right, I see 8 wins. Right? Every team. Boston College, Stanford. I mean, UNC is looking at their schedule and being like, I can see like perfect world. And so I love it. Everybody starts. It's like opening day for Major League Baseball. It's like everybody's 0-0. Like let's go cheer on our team because we may win the World Series this year. And so like I do, but I do think for good reason on the Duke side. I feel like that I talked to enough people inside the program that will be real with me if it was not feeling good,
right?
And it seems to be feeling pretty good. And they've seen good teams over the last 4 years in Durham. And so I think they know what it looks like to have good teams. And I think they feel like it's going to be a good team.
Yeah, that is pretty good to hear that people inside the building feeling good about what's going on with this Duke team going in the right direction. Josh, good to see you. I mentioned a little bit earlier, you guys have a show out already ahead of the year, but tell us a little bit more about Section 17 Media and how people can get involved.
Yeah, we're back in the saddle now. You go to our YouTube channel, Section 17 Media, on X, on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. We'll be covering Duke football. Basically, we'll be doing 2 or 3 preseason pods. And then once the season starts, we're going to be every week. On Monday nights, late, they'll release, sometimes early Tuesday morning, but they release. We do everything from you guess the right score, we send you something. We try to keep it fun. A little teaser, we're going to be having we believe 2 different people from the program, from the staff on in preseason to talk about what's going on inside the program. So getting some real feedback from inside the program there. So one of them is pretty significant. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Good deal. Good to see you, Josh. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Thanks, JJ. Appreciate it, man.
All right. That's Josh Cox from Section 17 Media joining us here on today's show. And that's going to bring our show today to a close. Guys, really do appreciate your support. Always here with us on the program. Be sure to follow and subscribe to us for free wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Take a moment, if you will, like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.